All right, Sheriff, we're like 3 weeks before the campaign comes to an end. How's it going?
It's going very well. It's been a good campaign. People very supportive. I get a lot of good compliments as I'm going around and good support. Today is a fundraiser event. I had a good outpouring of people coming in, and they get to enjoy a good Brunswick stew today, and so we're looking forward to 3.5 weeks and moving forward.
One thing we've been talking about, you feel like that your department's kind of been under attack, and you feel like you have to kind of like be the group leader and say, we got to, protect your men, right?
It is. It's a point as being a sheriff, and it's a motivational thing. Yes, there has been some attacks on them. Sometimes I think some unfair attacks. Mm-hmm. It is a job and role as a sheriff to protect their image, because young men are in a place and they're growing, they're molding, they're changing their views. The world's changing them, families changing them, and a lot of that's positive. But this day and age, sometimes when people want to armchair quarterback something that they have much more knowledge about, and what you do have to realize, here's a group of men and women that come together to get out and patrol at night and patrol during the day and patrol communities. They wear a bulletproof vest for a community to keep them safe. They go into some very diverse and difficult situations. They see some pretty horrific things so that citizens are served and have a good quality of life. And yes, that is one of the roles as a sheriff, is to be a stable force inside the office, to be a motivator, encourager. Some attacks do occur, and sometimes you do have to say, hey, this is just something, rise above it, hold your head up. But then sometimes you have to protect them from things that probably was not justified.
We see some pretty crazy things on social media this campaign season. Yeah. I mean, how do you deal with that?
Well, I just move forward. Anything over the years that I've done this and keeping a vision for a community, and I do want to say, this job, I'm always looking forward. Where is our next step? Where is our next obstacle? How do we serve the community the best? It's like the jail coming up. I'm already looking forward into this next 4 years, all 4 years, getting it built, getting it staffed, getting it up and running so that we slow this recidivism rate down. So I don't look to the left or the right, and I do not look at criticism, comments. Now, if someone has something we can improve on, we will. We're not perfect, and if someone can sit down and we go over a call and go, yep, that might not have been the best service that we could. Most time it's really good because we can look at it through the body cameras. But if we can improve something, we will. But if it's just garbage talking and junk, I don't look to the left or right. I'm keeping going forward because I want to serve a community.
Some people thought this was a little sarcastic. Castle said if you lost, that he would keep you on as looking after the jail or looking to that, make sure that got done. Would that be you would consider? Or
I'm going. Probably one of the first things is, if I've lost the public trust that much, we've really worked hard. We put a lot of effort. We rose up out of some very difficult circumstances. The place is completely turned around. The equipment, the training we have. If I've lost the public trust that much, and then I'm also that I would worry about the environment I would be working in. So I'm going to say that I probably wouldn't.
All right. One of the things I think I've been on record kind of questioning about this last campaign, but we were talking a little bit about church and state and the nonprofit status of churches and so forth, and because it kind of pretty says keep the politics out of the churches. And I think during this season you've been campaigning in some churches. Any comment on that?
Well, first off, I don't campaign in churches. I call it visiting for votes. Now, this is me and my life personal when I'm off. I've been very established in churches. Had a church that we were in for a number of years. Still love people dearly. It came to a point we were working with another church now, but I call it visiting for votes. I do not visit churches for votes. Now, one thing in this role as sheriff, we do get to go to a lot of churches because active shooter topics, church security threats are a big topic today. Actually, the day a man talked to me, he said, we want to get you lined up for our church. Now, I do have some times that sometimes a church does ask me to come in and speak. Yeah. I'm going to say this of myself. When I get an opportunity to speak inside of a church, I'm actually more just speaking about how I'm trying to live my life to go along with what they are assembling about. Right. I really do not, I'm very skeptical about politics being brought into a church, the agenda being brought into the church. When we come to assembly in a church, I've always won that I want it to be the right thing for the right reason.
Gotcha. I mean, and you're no secret about your faith. This is a big deal to you, isn't it?
Yes, it is. I mean, that's how I've lived my life. Saved when I was 18, and I've lived my life. I've been blessed. I have a good wife, good family, and hopefully have been a stable force for a community. And I do go back, first off, I always give God the credit. But in some very adverse circumstances, we picked up, come out of it, held our head high. We never missed a beat. We moved forward. And I do want to, our leadership has not changed any the least. We'll say in some of the attacks, there's people that want to insinuate, no, there's some people that got some answers they didn't want.
Right.
My leadership has not changed. Our decision making, our best interest for the community has not changed one bit. Right. And what I do look forward to, and I hope and do believe that we have a group that's assembled together. We can continue running the office that will serve the community very well these next 4 years. And then we know this is going to have its obstacles in it. And I think very confidently we can take care of those obstacles and then have the communities set.
For the record, you've been pretty strong against like officers that don't follow moral standards. I know that for sure.
Well, and we have a conversation with every officer when they come in. We live in a glass house, and when you can arrest people and take their freedoms away from them, we tell them point blank they have their expectation of how they think we need to live. So, yes, I uphold that very much. And when we have bad examples and party lifestyles and immoral lifestyles, now, I want to say no one's perfect. Do we make mountains out of molehills? No, we don't. Do good people make mistakes occasionally? Yes, they do. And sometimes we can get those corrected. Sometimes we can work with it, but then there's sometimes that people are very determined in their path that they want to walk, and it is not conducive, and it does not set a good example in this line of work. And we have to have a parting of the ways. Myself, what I saw a community go through a number of years ago, I do not want to see a community go back through that again. And while it's under my watch, it will not happen. We do work with people. We explain the error of the ways, but I have a vision for the community in the sense of what I want this office to be able to do, how it will serve, what we will continue forward in the future. And I want to see people aspire, promote, accomplish, but they also have to promote themselves and polish themselves. And, in life experience, all of us have seen sometimes people become bitter, they become hardened, something sets them back. Well, we have a job to do for a community, and if we can get someone back on track, it's great. But if they are determined that they don't want to go the way the community needs this office and this job to go because you are a trusted position, then we move on.
Last question. The community has seen a lot of talk, social media, yakking, lies, all kind of things. They got to make a decision. What would you like them to think about?
Well, and what you have seen, there's been a lot of talk. There's been a lot of garbage talk, a lot of it just talking about the equipment and stuff we have, and some things outright lying, like that I'm going to retire shortly after the election. I'm not. I'm a man of my word. If I'm going to step up and if people will entrust me again to serve them, I will serve them for 4 more years. And I find it very insulting that people are getting told this. The stuff about the equipment, some very outright exaggerations and sometimes lies. We are an agency that serves you. We have equipment that is not used. First off, we pray some equipment never has to be used. But we have equipped an office. It's one of the best equipped in the state. We also have a training to go along with it, and there really isn't much that can happen in this jurisdiction that we can't respond to and deal with almost immediately and overcome many difficult obstacles. And it just goes back in a lot of this equipment the community that has no money in or very little in. We've done this while keeping a budget pretty flat, so I hope to be a good steward for the people. Hope that they will entrust me to serve them 4 more years. Please investigate. And we live in a day and age of when people get a phone call and we tell people if it seems too good to be true, it probably is. Look into what's being said and what can actually be done. Take things, slow down, and don't just look at things at face value. I'll even say this for myself. Don't look. Think about what's happened. Think about the years past. Think about what we've accomplished. Make an informed decision and really take care in it because our community's worth it.
We can pull off this debate. One of the questions we want to make a big deal about, because resource officers have become a big issue. If you could bring the numbers, what it would cost to do that, because that's been a big thing. Is they say they can make it happen, but we like to see some real numbers about what it would cost to put resource officers in every school. So I think that's a story we need to get the answer to at some point.
Well, and we can give you, it's something that has been discussed. We've discussed it in our informative flyer that we put out. We've actually began these topics back in 2013. Current value today, rough ballpark figure, you're looking at between $750,000 and $800,000 to $850,000 to put full-time school resource officers in every elementary school. Now, the high schools, the middle schools, and the CCL school is already covered. But to finish out the rest of the schools, you would be looking, and that is just in the officer and basically their equipment. Then it would be, that's not really even getting whether or not they have a car when they respond to that location or anything like that. And
so it could go well over $1 million.
It could go well over $1 million.
Yeah.
And one of the things in this is getting turned in, I believe in school safety. This topic is coming up in the middle of the sheriff's election. But what I want to see, we have put a plan together before. There's actually some things we're going to go back and reconsider again. But it was also said by the school administration recently in an article. But this comes down to the schools are actually their jurisdiction. Now, and I said all that to say this, I believe in school safety. I want to be part of school safety, and we will do anything. But a group of people need to come together and report to our governing authority, which would be the school board, the board of supervisors. A collective group of people need to speak together. And I believe in this issue, but there is a better way of addressing it, and a group of people representing this as a desire.
Thanks.
All right.
Okay, appreciate it. Okay. Sheriff Lane Perry here. We'll be right back.